So we're starting a new series tonight called Christian Myths on Sex and Singleness. Backed by popular demand. Spicy, saucy, yes. Between what we hear in culture and the media and maybe what you've heard from, the church or from other Christians at times, it can be difficult to navigate these topics of sex and singleness. So we're going to take this month to kind of tackle these topics and especially common Christian myths and seek to develop a Christian ethic for you in this season of life. And so tonight, I've invited a guest speaker, Darlene Unrau, and she is an educator and a public speaker. She is passionate about equipping youth and young adults to make life-giving relational and sexual choices. She often does workshops in public and private schools, and she has a master's degree in education and majoring in counseling, and she is married to a wonderful man named Kim. For over 35 years now.
Yeah.
Well done. Well
Hello.
done. You guys must have got married when you were 12.
Yeah, right.
And she is both a mother to two and three. And a grandmother to two.
Yes.
I had reversed it there. So, anywho, Darlene, come share.
Thank you.
Oh,
So I'm going to use this. So I'm going to be stuck behind. I'll just play you a little something as we go. It's really fun to be here. Thank you. Alaric's rescued me because he's gonna work my slides. I love talking about relationships. Have always loved helping people with their relationships, family, friends, romantic, and so when I had the opportunity to do this as a full-time, go in and help people kind of reestablish what some of the foundational truths are, I was psyched. And it was actually my sons that talked me into it. Mom, you talk about this all the time. Our friends come to you for stuff. You need to go out there. And my youngest actually at the time was 14, and he said, Mom, you have to get into public schools and universities. You have to now this was his words, you have to let girls know how beautiful they are. Because if they don't know how beautiful they are, they let guys treat them like jerks, right? And so this was his, you have to know this. And that was so he set me up with the iPad and everything. I have to say that, Annette, you could not have, your testimony we're designed for love, right? We're designed to connect. It's painful to disconnect, but we all long to belong. And we have so much power in just saying to somebody, I saved you a seat, or come sit with me. It's crazy how much power that is. I remember the people who invited me in when I was new everywhere. And even though I'm really passionate about what I do, when I walk into new situations, I go to the food table and eat, because then I don't have to try to mingle, right? So some of us are like that. And just to have somebody come in and say, hey, come on over here, I want to introduce you to somebody. It's life-changing. Because otherwise, some of us tend to just isolate. And we find different reasons to go and do something else. And we're not wired for that. We're designed for love. According to neuroscientists, we're designed for love. We do better, we're stronger, we're healthier, we feel smarter, we feel more creative when we're in loving environments where we feel like people are like, yes, you're here. I can't wait. Oh, you're in my team. Yes. As opposed to, you remember, watching the kid or being the kid last chosen on the team? That is demoralizing. Right? And that whole longing to belong is real. How many of us have done dumb stuff just to fit in? Come on. With me. Anybody? Nobody else? Okay, yeah, right? And sometimes we have regrets about the things we didn't say, we didn't do. And the only value of regret is actually learning from it and then helping other people through it. But we're designed to connect and stay connected. It physiologically hurts us to disconnect. So if I went behind here and grabbed behind Alaric, a hammer that I brought, and I smashed your toe, which I would never do. But if I did, the same part of your brain that lights up in physical pain is the part of your brain that lights up in emotional pain. Our brain doesn't differentiate the difference. It doesn't differentiate between the two. In fact, how many of us have moved away from people that we love? It doesn't feel great. How many of you have had somebody you love die? It feels horrible. How many of you have been through a long-term misunderstanding with somebody, or they betrayed you, or something like just it was really awful? Okay, where did we experience pain, or where do people talk about experiencing pain in their body when it's just a relational thing? It's a relational disconnect. Where do people talk about it? Heart, stomach, yes. Mine is my stomach. I feel like I'm going to throw up, or I have this pit, right? Where else do people talk about it? You can just point to your body. I don't even have to call on you. Does anyone get a headache? Yes. It feels like your head's going to blow up. Sometimes people will say, it feels like literally my heart's breaking or an elephant is sitting on my chest. One person today said, it feels like I can't breathe. Suddenly I can't talk. And why is that? Because we're wired to connect and stay connected. We were never designed to disconnect from people. Problem is, people hurt people. But people can also heal people. Trying to figure out who to trust and who to allow into that healing process is quite the journey. It's kind of a lifelong thing. All right, here we go. Let's get started on my little slides here. You're doing so great. Okay, so we're wired to connect and stay connected. It hurts us to disconnect. Just for some of you, you are what I would call personality-wise a green mind. You need to know where my sources are. So here they are. If you're interested, we can talk more. If you have more neuroscience to share with me on sexuality or relationships, I'd love to hear it. But when we talk about this, I like to use the Stephen Covey quote. We start with the end, begin with the end in mind, right? What do you want? And that is the question that I ask every group that I go to, no matter what age. I do spend a certain amount of time throughout the year in between when school's out and all that, going to recovery homes because relationships often got them into, addiction. And relationships are going to help get them out. So I will ask people, whatever age, wherever I'm at, what do you want in terms of relationships? What do you want? Have you thought about it? What do you want? And what are you willing to do to get it? Or are you just hoping it's just kind of going to happen? Whatever happens is going to happen. And is what you're doing right now getting you closer to what you want or further from it? Now, when we use the word love, we're pretty limited. Right? Now, I love chocolate-covered gummy worms. I love my grandchildren. They're so cute. And I love my husband. Oh, I love my husband. I love my sons. My daughter-in-laws are exquisite. But I also love parasailing. I love cliff jumping. I love a lot of things, but in different ways. So what kind of love? I'm just stuck with the English word, as opposed to Plato, the Greek philosopher, had 8 different words for love. Now, some of you are familiar with some of them, but I'm just going to go over 2 of them, the main ones, although I got to mention lettuce. You've heard of lettuce? Have you guys heard of lettuce? L-U-D-U-S? That's the flirty love, right? The lights are, like you're dancing, the lights are low, he's so hot, the lights go up, he's so not. Yeah, that's lettuce. Okay. But anyways, so there's different kinds of love. Then there's my 2 favorites, though, to talk about are the 2 extremes. What's handy about Greek is if I said I loved you and you, and I wasn't married, and you thought, oh, what does she mean by that? It would be very specific. So if I said, I phileo you, not like fillet of fish, but it would be friendship. So definitely we're in the friend zone. It would be really clear. It wouldn't be like, oh, where are we at? Which would be handy sometimes. You know what I mean? Somebody grabs you and goes, I love this person. You're like, really? Is this Anyways, but then agape and eros can be mixed with friendship or with family, right? So agape, some of you have heard this one, right? It's anyone want to describe it? Anyone? Okay, how about this? Selfless, sacrificial. Oh my goodness. I've been writing too much. Okay, sacrificial. Are you fixing my stage, James? Oh, that's so kind of you. Because you're just scared I'm going to take the whole thing down. I probably could. Unconditional. This is committed kind of love, and it's giving. This was rarely used. According to Plato, it's like, who loves like that, right? This is divine. Or some people call it true love. That's what Olaf calls it in Frozen, right? Right? He's taken Anna. How many of you have never seen Frozen? Okay, a little snowman comes to rescue a girl who's freezing to death, okay? And he starts a fire for her. Not smart for a snowman. And Anna goes, Olaf, You're going to melt. And he goes, some people are worth melting for, right? But not right now. And then he puts his face back together and moves away from the fire. He saves her. He is a friend to her, that phileo, but he's also showing her agape. He's willing to melt for her. That's a big thing. Now, this word started becoming normal when the New Testament was written. John 3:16, for God so agape the world. And he said, the world will know you're my followers if you give a lot of money, do nice things, read your Bible. If you agape each other, that's how the world's going to know, because this is so incredible. And it is so transformative. And it is so magnetic. People just move towards, everybody wants to be loved. Even the guy who's grabbed his dogs and are running up, living in the mountains on his own. He really, down deep, is designed for love. Okay. But this kind of love, some people don't even believe it's for real. When I teach this, afterwards they'll come up and go, you really had me there. I was thinking, that's just Disney. Because on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have eros, which is very passionate, but very different kind of love. Favorite food, anybody? Hands up. Give me a favorite food. Pizza, bacon. Whoo, bacon. Do you notice how it claps? Like it sounds like it's cheering when it's frying. Anyways, we'll go with pizza. Well, pizza. Yeah, let's do pizza. So who said pizza? How do you treat pizza? You say you love pizza. What do you do to it to show your love? Like, chew it? Swallow it? So I'm going to just suggest that even though you may not be a selfish person, the way you love pizza is just selfish. Okay? It's using. Okay? I'm going to suggest to you, based on what I've observed from people, it's probably conditional. Because if I handed you a piece of pizza and on the way to your hand it dropped into dog poo, you probably would go, no. I'll take the poo-less one. Yeah, right? Okay, then it's temporary, because if I brought you some pizza now, but next week I brought you some more pizza, you probably wouldn't go, no, I'm committed to last week's pizza. You'd be a pizza player, wouldn't you? You would just move on to the next pizza. Am I right? Okay, this is a taking kind of love. And I know I'm giving you a hard time. But you're treating pizza like a thing, which you should. It would be weird if you put pizza on your pillow and, covered it with a duvet. It's like, ooh, pizza. It'd be like, dude, help. Psych classes, psych majors, come over here. So here's the deal. Pizza is a thing, so it's completely understandable. But people are passionate about their food. Am I right? Am I right? Right? Okay, so we was talking about how we could be friends because he loves to cook and I love to eat. That sounds like such a great friendship. Okay, so pizza being this thing is totally fine. It's very passionate, but it fits all this category, kind of the opposite of agape. But is it possible to treat people like pizza? Yeah. Have you ever had a friendship that was conditional? Yeah, you're my friend as long as you're not going to do that with me? Oh, okay, well, moving on. Temporary. I'm your friend until I have other friends. Selfish. Taking. Have you ever had a family member like that? I love you as long as you, and if you don't, well, liked your brother better anyway. The thing is, if I would ask you to go out and interview all the students on this campus, and they would tell you the truth, and your question would be, what have you experienced more of, eros or agape? What do you think they would say? And if you ask them, the same people, what would you like to experience more of? What do you think they would say? Agape. This is what we're wired for. But for some people, this is so normative. It's like, I don't even believe this. And will actually, if you treat them like this, they will be highly suspicious. And I've talked to many people when I do adult workshops that will come up to me afterwards and say, I actually broke up with somebody because they treated me this way. Freaked me out. Because we are literally training our brain. We are practicing. We can train our brain for eros or agape. And just because we've been treated like this most of our lives doesn't mean we're less valuable. It just means the people around us, that is how they trained their brain. And they're just like, everybody uses everybody. That's just the way of the world. Hello, wake up, smell the coffee. But this is so unreal that it can actually throw people off. I'm not talking about even perfection, because we're not going to be perfect. But if our default is that way, it's really quite incredible. So if at some point somebody would say, you know what, I want to experience this, and I want to experience with the family that I choose. How many of you got to choose your family? Right. So choosing your family in the future might look like marriage. Okay, so it's like, well, okay, I'm not suggesting everyone's going to get married, but if people are saying, at some point I want to get married, which studies will show like 85 to 95% of university students will say, at some point, I think I might want to do that. Maybe not right away, but at some point. Okay, thinking about what you want, again, what are you willing to get it? What's important for you in a relationship might be something you want to just consider. Just start writing stuff down, thinking about stuff. What's important to me? Rather than just a warm body that is really hot. Well, not like, I don't mean like hot. I mean just, you know what I mean, right? Somebody I'm really attracted to that is great. And sometimes we don't understand why people make their choices, because we're thinking, okay, yeah, the warm body, hot, but the way they treat you is garbage. How'd that happen? Well, sometimes it's a combination. Sometimes all they've ever known is eros, and this is just normal. Sometimes it's because we're wired to connect and stay connected. It actually hurts us to disconnect. It's like, that's just going to be too hard. And sometimes it's related to something called infatuation. Okay. Am I going to do that? I think I'll just jump. No, I'll do that. Okay, so the different kinds of love before I do the infatuation, different kinds of love are reinforced by the songs that we sing, or the songs that we hear on the radio. So we have, what's his name? Adam Levine, right? So Maroon 5, he's written a lot of songs about a lot of different things. But in this song, what kind of love is he singing about? Eros or agape? Yep. Right. What is he asking for? What do you think he's asking for? So he's saying, I am being loved this way, but what is he saying? It sounded like he's longing for agape, though, isn't he? Like he's like, would you? Because he's hopeful, but he's doubtful at the same time, hey? Because shoot, if he was in an accident and lost all his money and ended up in jail, would the people who hang out with him right now think he's so valuable still be there? How about this song? Yay, Pitbull, right? The reason I have some of these older songs is, honestly, I can't print the lyrics of most of the songs, right? Like people go, how about this song? I'm like, okay, no, I can't. I get kicked out. I can't do that, sorry. But, okay, what kind of love is Pitbull singing about? He's saying love. Yeah, this is pizza, right? He's saying, let's do it tonight. Let's do it tonight. What? Play Minecraft? Like, what do we talk? What it? Right? Give me everything. Give me. Right? But because tonight it's just tonight. Can't be necessarily tomorrow. Let's see. The next page for him is, grab somebody sexy. That's the criteria. Okay, depends how low the lights are on how, important that is, or how much you've imbibed at that moment, right? So it's basically, I want you tonight, I want you today, I want you tonight. If we go back to that first slide, we could probably switch off tonight, I will love you tonight, and just put, I will use you tonight. But who would sing that, right? So here are these songs that are out there, and then there's Ed Sheeran's song, right? Most of them are about agape, right? Okay, some of you are sneering. I'm just saying, he just has, for the most part, like when he sings a song, I will love you till you're 70, right? I had one young woman goes, just 70? Does that mean that's the cutoff age? That sounds like Eros to me. I'm like, oh, okay, right, okay. No, I mean, the song thing, when he says, when your legs don't work like they used to before, I'm like, okay, what's happened? I'm scared of getting old. Okay. But anyways, he's trying to make a point that it's no matter what, it's unconditional. How many of you have been around two little old people and he says things like, They've been together forever. Holds her hand, says, she's more beautiful today than the day I met her. Has anyone ever seen that? Right? And then you look over at her and you go, oh, that's too bad. He's going blind. Okay, so here's the thing. What we don't know, here's what we don't know about the brain that's so important. And when I learned this, I told my sons like right away, you guys, you got to know this. And they were so psyched that you literally get to train your brain. So this is one brain, okay, with a lot of neural pathways. I know I should be an artist. It's just, Okay, so a whole lot of neural pathways, thin and weak. And this is a brain, okay, so they've studied more male brains than female brains. Because for a while they thought they were the same. Just sorry for laughing. Okay, so they studied more. And in this study, they watched, and whatever a man is looking at the moment of orgasm is what he attaches to, and he creates a neural pathway through. So if he's watching pornography and he's having self-sex, then he gets a neural pathway. If he's having sex with a woman or a man or any whatever, he will get a neural pathway. But if you're moving from one to another, you will get a confused brain. It's just kind of like the song, the Rolling Stones, I don't get no satisfaction. I tried. I always think that song really fits that brain. Anyways, the little old man who's saying, she's more beautiful than the day I met her, if he has gotten rid of pornography from his past or never got into it, if he has stayed away from other relationships and he has focused on this one person, she literally is becoming more beautiful to her. Oops, to him. Thank you. No, my husband isn't here. And he'd be the one to go, babe, you meant, yeah, right. Thank you. Seriously. Because otherwise there'd be people like, what? No. And she actually starts feeling more beautiful because he says stuff like, do not get Botox. And it's not about money. I'm actually, as my youngest son called it, those cracks around your eyes, Mom, from smiling. Yeah. So he's literally gets attached to those cracks around the eyes because his brain changes with her. And he doesn't develop a neural pathway because of the frequency. It turns into a neural ditch. And they know that because of the studies. They take these old guys that have been married forever and been faithful, put them in a room with all these pictures, and said, fine, go ahead, find the beautiful women. And they'd always move towards their wives' type of body. Even though maybe when they got married, it was like this. That's right? Okay, whatever. It was like curvy, but, it turned into more of like a little apple. They were moving towards apple shapes. And they're saying, I know these are beautiful, but this is what I'm attracted to. Isn't that wild? What? I think it's so great. Well, because I'm getting old, right? But I just love this. I love it. The confidence it can give. It's crazy. And so I remember explaining this to my son. He didn't quite get it yet. He was 12. And we were watching a TV show and a really inappropriately dressed woman came on, and he was like, Mom. And he turned around and he went, I got to watch my eyes, right, Mom? Because I want to have great sex. And I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because I want my kids to be sexually successful, not just relationally successful. And I believe that the one who created sex is the one who knows how it's supposed to work. I believe it's a gift with some assembly required. Like it actually takes some figuring out for the rest of your life, because the person that if you choose to be committed to, they're going to keep changing. And women, let's just say we change from morning to afternoon. So it's like we kind of like being a mystery. Just saying, just putting it out there, even though you might completely disagree with me. It's fascinating that these messages, though, from the media are so consistent. And the question is, are they trying to educate us or entertain us in the area of relationships? What do you think, the media? In the area of relationships, are they sitting around the boardroom going, how can we help people have the best relationships? Okay. No, it's entertainment. So we have to realize that when they talk about sex, the two messages that they have are one message is it's just no big deal. Like have pizza, have sex, it's just whatever. Why are we even talking about this? It's relational play. You got to get good at it, just like you play basketball, right? And the other message is that sex is the biggest deal in the whole world. And if you're not having it, are you okay? Like, seriously, it's not healthy. You're going to blow up one of these days. We're going to be walking along and you're just going to spontaneously combust. We're going to have to put up a little tombstone. Didn't get any. Like, this is serious, right? Isn't it? Come on, think of a TV show where it's like, you haven't had sex? We can find somebody. We could pay somebody. Come on. Oh, you're grumpy? Oh, that's because you're a little, it's been a while, hey? Like, it's just a weird kind of, it's no big deal, but it's the biggest deal. And these messages, we just have to take a moment and ask, what did the media want from us? What is their motive? Because if we take the messages that are just coming at us so regularly, we have to acknowledge that their motive is money. And I don't have a problem with money. Here's my email address. I take e-transfers. Joking. This is if you want to talk to me, coffee, want me to talk to somebody and convince them of something. I'm totally kidding. Why am I being like this? I don't know. I get like this late at night. This is not late. What's my problem? Okay, so money. Money is the motive. And what do we know about the whole connection between money and sex? Sex sells. Okay? If I'm going to be driving across the bridge and I see a billboard with tires on it, I am not going to stare. But if you're going to put a woman with a bathing suit, really tiny, teeny tiny string bikini, I'm going to look. A guy with his shirt ripped open and some coconut oil on his chest, I'm going to look. My husband's like, what's with coconut oil? I'm like, I don't know how they make it shiny. What do you think? Pam could get in the eyes. Anyways, so coconut oil. So all we know is that studies will show 17 to 40% longer is how long people will look at a sexualized image. We know that. And we know that children are especially sensitive to that, but we don't have time for that. We'll do that another time. We just do coffee. So only 1.2% of the references to sex in the media will mention the actual risks of sexual activity. Right? It's almost like it doesn't exist. When's the last time in a TV show or a series that you've heard somebody turn to another person and say, okay, before we make out, I just need to know what's your sexual history and when's the last time you've been tested? Last time I heard, it was only Sheldon at the Big Bang Theory, and he was asking for a full medical report. And I mean, that makes it a joke, right? Okay, so remember I mentioned infatuation? No, maybe I didn't. Okay, anyways, so here we go. This is the relationship triangle. I promised I would teach you about that. So here's the apex of it, meet and like. Two people meet and like. And a lot of times because I talk about relationships, people will tell me their stories and they'll go, you got to tell my story. I can't. There's so many. It's amazing. But this one story, nope, I'm not going to tell that one. But when a lot of marriages have amazing marriages, but they never were infatuated with each other. They weren't like, oh, right? They were really good friends. Remember that friend zone thing? It can turn to something else, no promises. But it turns, from friends to actually affection. It's like, hey, I can't even imagine my life without you. And then the romance starts. But when people are actually in an infatuated state, it's an undocumented brain state. And what they know is that women experience an increase in instinct, attention, and memory circuits. Guys experience a higher level of visual processing, and everybody gets a reduced activity in critical thinking and worry centers. Which is why they say weird stuff like, oh, the way he eats that apple, isn't it sexy? And you're like, oh, gross. That's like monkey on a cupcake, right? Or, oh, the way she giggles, isn't that adorable? Dude, are you deaf? That is a cackle. How long can infatuation last? It's a pretty significant thing. 12 parts of the body get a chemical cocktail within a fifth of a second. It could happen like right now. Somebody could walk in this door, and I'm not saying it's you, but somebody walks in the door. Oh, boy, that was scary. Okay, somebody walks in the door, and it's like jaw drop, right? And your eyes go all blurry, and your hands get hot and sweaty, and your knees are knocking, and they sit beside you. You're like, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Okay, how long can that last? Well, maybe only until they turn to you with bad breath and say something stupid, and then you're done, right? The infatuation is over. How long can it last, though, according to brain scientists? 6 to 8 months is the max. So after 8 months, that hot red glow in the brain can turn into warm yellow. Does that mean a person's fallen out of love? Blind love, yeah. Yeah. So that's why sometimes people are like, I just fell out of love. I don't know what happened. They fell out of infatuation. And you can move from infatuation to infatuation to infatuation to infatuation, but then you're literally training your brain that if you're not feeling it, it's over, right? And you start seeing that, oh, the way they eat that cupcake. I don't know that anything is kind of needs work, but you can handle it. Or the way they giggle, isn't a giggle. Or they do have anger issues. Whereas before, when your friends pointed out, you were saying things like, oh, you just don't understand. They had a rough childhood, or they've changed, or have you been around people who are infatuated? It's kind of irritating. But don't even try to tell them about this, because when they're infatuated, we don't listen. Because we're in cloud nine, life is good, the sky is bluer, the grass is greener. It's just awesome. So if that lasts 6 to 8 months, you want to watch that you're not making any big physical commitments or emotional commitments. What's the greatest physical commitment two people can make to each other, or physical connection? Yes, I heard all those S's. That was very... Okay, and then the greatest emotional commitment, like it's a contract, marriage to love. Yeah, I'm rewatching Princess Bride sometime. I really want to. Okay, so as you move down the physical line of progression, there's actually a lot of affection you can show that doesn't mean it's sexual, but a long kiss. Yeah, I heard that. Like, you're not going to kiss your grandma with a long kiss, right? That's like, okay, what happened here? That's where sexual activity actually changes in the brain, and you get testosterone is passed back and forth. 2 calories. I did my homework. My husband's like, that's a great workout, right? Okay, so that's a long kiss, and after a long kiss, right? From that point on, it actually changes the relationship. Beforehand, you hug, hold hands, quick kiss. What people have given me feedback on is, oh, wow, I actually stayed friends with the person that I was dating because we didn't actually go past a long, a quick kiss, hug, hold hands. That makes sense that this changes everything. I'm not saying you can't be if you're moving from this point onward, but something starts happening, and we'll talk about that. You start getting an increasing amount of bonding hormones, and the greatest amount is at the point of having sex. So there are a whole bunch of chemicals that are happening as you're heading along this line. You're getting dopamine. You guys are familiar with that, right? Dope. So it feels really great. But the problem with dopamine, it's a values, I don't even know if I have that on the slide. It's a values neutral hormone. I don't. It's a values neutral hormone. So it doesn't tell you if what feels good is good for you or not. Like me and Miss Vicky's sour cream and chili chips. Like, I just don't. Give me a small bag because I won't stop. It's not good. Sore stomach. And I'll be like, why did you let me finish it? Because of the dopamine and because I was grubbing it from you. So as we move down the line of emotional progression, oh, I'm having so much fun. Okay, as we head down the line of emotional progression, sorry. Oh, dear. You guys are so great. Just saying. We actually get dopamine as well because it feels really great when somebody says, oh, you're so handsome, or you're so cute, or like, oh, I can't imagine my life without you. It feels good. Now, it doesn't feel good if it's somebody you don't like. It doesn't feel physical, doesn't feel good if it's somebody. How many of you have been at family events and somebody just grabs you for a hug or a kiss and you're just, oh, you're not getting dopamine, right? You are not. And if somebody has been sexually abused, we're talking about 1 out of 3 Canadian women, approximately 1 out of 5 Canadian men sexually abused, you're not getting dopamine. And you're not going to get bonding hormones either, right? The really great piece about this is that there is help. Just you got to start talking and finding somebody who will help walk you through to the other side. But if you don't ask for help, you'll feel stuck. And so I love that there's hope on that end, so that it doesn't have to color the rest of your life. It is part of your history, though. And so we really want to take this seriously, that this, again, media treats it like it's nothing, and people are treated like things. And I've met people in Kelowna who have been sold by their families for sex, right? Because it's just a body. What's your problem, right? Because when you take this to the extreme, you really are just some pizza. And it's just, that song by Lady Gaga, you can do what you want with your body, but you can't touch my heart or my mind. Interesting lyrics, physiologically impossible because we're connected. And one affects the other. Okay, so back to the bonding hormones. Is there anything else I want to talk about? No. So the bonding hormones. Oxytocin. How many of you have heard of oxytocin? Nice. Okay. How many of you heard of oxytocin in relating to women giving birth? Okay. I've done it 3 times, so I'll show you what it's like. Ah! Ooh! Okay. It's not that fast. Okay. Sorry, James. Are you sorry you invited me? It's okay. Did you just go back, flashback? You just triggered, didn't you? Okay, but so James can attest. I've talked to a doctor who delivered 5,000 babies. He goes, do women really do that? I said, I teach it, I experienced it, but do women really go from to oh, isn't he beautiful? He goes, yes. And you're looking at that baby and go, no, that is Yoda with slime, right? But the thing about bonding hormones, and I was using the Gorilla Glue as an example, but the thing with bonding hormones is oxytocin is called the love, cuddle, forget hormone, and it causes relaxation, fearlessness, trust, and contentment. I only created these slides. I don't know what's on them. I'm just kidding. Okay, so it's also called the forget hormone. It's a neuromodulator because the woman will say things like, let's have another. And just an hour before, she had said to her husband, don't ever touch me again. But she forgot. Oxytocin is that powerful. And we get oxytocin as we head down the physical line of progression, if it's consensual, and the emotional line of progression. We start getting bonded. And the kind of bonding that we're talking about is the super glue bond. So I actually brought my little super glue. I don't let it out of its cage, but it broke out anyways, okay? So how many of you have had negative experiences with super glue? Anybody? So did this girl, Gorilla Glue Girl. Remember her? Does anyone not know about Gorilla Glue Girl? Does anyone want to explain? She thought it was hair gel. She's like, her hair product said hair glue, cute little name. She ran out. She goes, oh, Gorilla Glue. So she used it on her hair. Go like this to the table in front of you. That's what her head sounded like on Facebook when she started explaining it. I'm not making fun of her. She just monetized it, so I figured fair game. So her hair, true, her hair, she could not get that off. And she added water and it got tighter and the follicle started pulling and she couldn't sleep. She's got headaches and she asked for help on Facebook. Her bottom line, after she'd gotten the hair off and just had little nubs and most of her skin was missing, she's like, okay, don't mess with super glue. And that's what I want to say to people about sex. Don't mess with super glue. The greatest amount of oxytocin right there. And it's instant. And it's values neutral. It doesn't tell you if the person that you're bonded to is a good idea or not. So when Pitbull says, give me everything tonight, and then he's going to grab somebody sexy the next night or the next afternoon or whatever, he's basically connecting, breaking up, connecting, breaking up, connecting, breaking up, connecting. What does that do to a brain? What does it teach a brain to do? To stay connected or to prepare to break up? Our brains try to protect us, try to keep us safe. It says things like to us like, don't go there, or we've experienced this before. And so it's almost like a prep for breaking up again. One woman approached me after a class I did in Florida, and she said, oh, you've explained to me about the last 5 years of my marriage. I love my husband and I love my marriage. But previous to marriage, I'd been in many sexual relationships, and I actually found Jesus and got married, and I didn't have very much time between the previous relationships and this one. And I found myself in the last 5 years always looking over his shoulder for the next person. And I thought there was something wrong with our marriage, but it's my brain that has been trained to move on. Because you're going, okay, this is going to hurt, so let's just get ready to get hurt, and we'll just keep going. And neuroscientists also describe it like they also use this example of duct tape. So sometimes in classes I'll say, hey, can I have a hairy leg for the purpose of science? And sometimes I'll get somebody with a hairy, James is not offering. And the idea is that if you connect, break up, connect, break up, connect, break up, what starts happening, well, especially to a hairy leg, what starts happening to a piece of tape and its ability to attach? It starts losing its ability to attach. Does that mean it's over? If somebody has been sexually connected to somebody that, they're just going to forever walk around bonded and in pain and it's like, oh, no. but they have to address it. They have to actually focus on it and do some work. It's not just like, it doesn't just disappear. And the wild piece is that if a guy gets this much oxytocin in his system when he has sex with a woman, guess how much a woman gets? I'm just doing a heterosexual relationship with this. Yeah, more. How much more? 10 minimum, 100 maximum. What? I've had women throw things at me. How come no one's ever told me about this? This explains everything. Why do I not know this? I'm like, I'm trying. I'm doing my best. I'm getting out there as fast as I can. But two people had sex. This guy, he didn't know that he has a chemical imprint in his brain that he'll carry for the rest of his life. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that he's been bonded. He's just got a lot of dopamine in his system, and he's looking like, I could do that again with anyone. Whereas she, her very first time with him, is like, well, we need to talk. We need to, what, you're talking to somebody else? You're laughing? Oh my goodness. Am I one of those clingy people? No, there's nothing wrong with her. She just had sex. And she got oxytocin. And she got bonded. And if she goes to her friends, they're going to say, oh yeah, guys, idiots. Yeah, okay. Like, just go for another one. Get another one, right? And just, there's a lot out there. And just, so they're actually encouraging her to connect, break up, instead of healing, we actually need to heal. And it takes time for the limbic bonds to disappear. Because when you're bonded, it's a real thing. And then, of course, there's, just to be fair to vasopressin, guys, you get more vasopressin than women do. It's a values-neutral hormone. And then both oxytocin and vasopressin increase dopamine, the focus and pleasure. So it's this wild circle. And you can create beautiful bonds or confusing connections. These are good news hormones for lifelong relationships. God made them. They are bad news for for relationships that break up. This is a quote from a university student. He said, why do they tell you how to, you're doing great. Why do they tell you how to protect your body from herpes and pregnancy, but they don't tell you what it does to your heart? One neuroscientist actually was explaining this to a group of university women. She said, ladies, here's how it works. First date, he's passable. Second date, he's okay. Third date, well, let's do a test run, let's have sex. And then suddenly you're looking for him in the halls. Where is he? And you're wondering why. It's called oxytocin. It doesn't make any sense unless you understand it, unless you understand what's going on behind the scenes. I've had men stop me there was a whole group of guys at a coffee shop, and they were overhearing me talking to a friend quietly, I might add. I didn't talk loudly, and saying, excuse me, young lady, could you come over here? You can tell they called me young lady. Yes, they're senior citizens sitting there in their golf gear, asked me to come over and say, could you explain what you were talking about over there? So I started explaining infatuation. They're like, where were you 2 years ago? What happened 2 years ago? Two of them looked like they want to bite my head off, and the other guys were like sitting there. Oh, yeah. 2 years ago, we were both widowed, and we were like, you know what? We don't like this. We don't want to be single anymore. So we're a whole lot smarter than we used to be. We're not getting any younger, so let's get out there. And they got themselves each a wife and got married within 6 months of meeting her. What do we talk about? During those first 6 to 8 months, if you make any big decisions at that point, you're not thinking with a full brain. No offense. And then a lady came up to me after one of these. I was just giving a real quick, 10-minute thing. And she's like, where were you 30 years ago? I get that a lot. Okay, what happened 30 years ago? 30 years ago, I was told the most important thing is to find out if we're physically compatible. You want to see if the sex is good. You don't buy a car before you test drive it. And so met this guy. He was great, headed down the physical line of progression, had sex, and got married and didn't realize he was an addict. Other people could see things around me, but I didn't hear it. Second marriage, raced down that physical line. He was an abuser. Divorce. Third marriage, head down the line. He was a cheater. She goes, you could have saved me so much trouble if somebody would have said, focus on the part that takes harder and is more work. This is the foundation. How many of you are engineers? How important is the foundation? Nah, it's ugly. Can't even see it. Doesn't it? It's super important. Like, I'm an engineer at heart. I know nothing. All I know is I don't want to build my place on a sinkhole. I want a strong foundation. According to Dr. John Gottman, the guru of relationships, says the most important part of any relationship is the foundation. In fact, 70% of marital sexual satisfaction is connected to the depth of the friendship. Think about it. If you're not feeling like you can trust your partner, or you're not respected, it's not very enjoyable. Now, where a person adds sex along this lineup is where the third part of their triangle goes. So if somebody's like, hey, you know what? I'm waiting for sex till marriage. They're trying to build the strongest possible. I met a guy who waited for a long kiss until his engagement. I'm like, wow, dude, why? He goes, because I watched people, and it seems like the more time they spend with each other's bodies, it's like the relationship halts. I wanted to know, do I want to spend the rest of my life with her? Because I knew this could be added quickly. Smart. 13-year-old girl came into the pregnancy care center in Calgary, and she was taking a pregnancy test, and the counselor said, I just need to know the age of your boyfriend since you're under the age of consent. And she said, is that really important? He's so great. Like, we're going to get married. If I'm pregnant, we'll get married sooner. If not, we'll wait a little bit. And the counselor said, I'm sorry. I'm sure he's wonderful. I just need to know his age, because legalities. Oh, that's important? Yeah. Okay, I don't know how old he is, but he's in the other room. I'll go ask him. So she thought they were ready to get married. She thought they were here. Where in reality, if she didn't know how old he was, were they actually on this line of progression? Like, if I made you all hum and would stop when you stopped humming, where would we land? Do you want to hum? Do you want to hum? Where should I stop? Here? This is the softest hum I've ever heard. Okay. Anyways, looking at this triangle, would it surprise you to know this relationship didn't last? No. It's like the weight of the physical ended up crashing in on the emotional. There's quite a few studies I can just throw out there for you. So is there any such thing as casual sex? Nah. The American Psychiatric Association links early sexual activity by girls with an inability to enjoy healthy adult sexual life. Also points to a preoccupation with and a dislike for their bodies. Why? Because it sets them up to early on feel deeply connected and then abandoned. Greatest fear in humanity is rejection. And yet they're told it's no big deal, but it's the biggest deal. So something's obviously wrong with you. A Penn State study was that while men feel better about themselves after their very first sexual encounter, women often feel much worse. They had a significant decline in body image and self-esteem. These are high school statistics because while colleges will report the same problems, they haven't done enough studies to make it peer-reviewed research. So girls and guys in high school who are sexually active are 3 times as likely to be depressed as those who are abstinent. They're calling depression the new STI. And rate of suicide attempts for sexually active girls is 6 times higher. For guys, it's 8 times higher. Wait a second. I thought girls were more negatively impacted. Not necessarily. There's no kind of sex so safe that it will leave your body, heart, and mind untouched. If we did, we wouldn't want it. University of Illinois, I'll give you just a couple more, and then I'll try to wind up a bit. The higher the number of sexual partners for men, the lower the amount of sexual satisfaction. What? But it starts to make sense when you put that together. Middle-aged and married people report having a better sex life, especially women. That is such a repeated study, it's almost a joke. Like in 2020, it was on the front page of New York Times. People who are having the most sex and the best sex, these are people who are anonymously reporting, are between the age of 35 and 55. Their commonality is they're married, not like the media suggests, and what? Christians. What? Now, I'm not saying that is going to guarantee. There are no guarantees. You probably heard something last week. Like there's no guarantees. But we're just talking about across the board. These are their studies. And this one's interesting. Those who wait to have sex in a committed monogamous relationship report having the highest amounts of sexual satisfaction. Okay, going to take a couple minutes to give you a little Hebrew. I gave you Greek. It's fair. Hebrew. Guess what this word means? Echad. fused together at the deepest level. This is the word for when two people join in sex in several parts of the Bible. Fused together at deepest level. That sounds like my little friend Superglue. It's like God was foretelling the power of having sex with somebody. But check out this word. Now, the way you pronounce it is not yada, yada, yada. This is yada. Yada, this is used over 500 times in the Old Testament to describe our relationship with God. To know, be known, and deeply respected. Be still and know that I am God. It's powerful. It's also used a handful of times for sexual relations between a husband and wife, like Adam knew Sarah. Look at this. This is not just about a physical connection. It goes beyond that. I'm going to jump down to Hesed. This is the word for covenant in the Old Testament. And it is deep friendship, unfailing love, loyalty, devotion, steadfastness, and mercy. So the reason I'm giving you the little quick Hebrew lesson, this is why I trust God, because this is his design. This is what he longs for. This is what he wants. Does he always get what he wants? Nope. We've seen that in this world. We live in a broken world. But can I trust somebody who actually loves me and gave himself for me? So when I do make an argument for it, because I don't always, sometimes it depends on what area I'm in, I just kind of let people figure it out on their own. But why do I encourage people to save sex for marriage? Because that degree of commitment is the only thing that matches the risk, mentally, emotionally, physically, socially. And the difference between eros and agape is that eros is based on a passionate feeling. It's unwilling to put your best interest before theirs, and it won't wait for sex till marriage. Agape is the ability to give love without expecting anything in return. It actually puts your best interest before their sex interests and insists on waiting for marriage. If somebody loves you, they would protect you. They would respect you, and they wouldn't make decisions that could jeopardize your physical, mental, and relational health. So when I use this image of fire, I'm in the Okanagan. Where do you want to see this sucker? Fireplace? So old school, James. A little bit on the curtains. That'd be cool. Like, right? You'd be like, Darlene. How about outside? Fire pit? Lame. Inside a tent. Under a nice dry tree. I heard it's candling. Okay. What are you, afraid of fire? You're not afraid of fire. You respect the power of fire. This is how I view sex. I respect the power of sex. Inside a lifelong, loving, loyal relationship, it's powerful. It brings life to that relationship. It keeps bringing two people together over and over again, bonding them over and over again, can bring life into the world. You're here because somebody had sex. Just saying. Okay, we'll move on. But just a little bit of sex outside a lifelong, loving, loyal relationship causes a lot of pain, and unnecessarily so. So when it comes down to it, let's see. If somebody would say to you, you know what? I'm sorry. Because my son's friends experienced this several times in university. They'd go for dates with somebody who said they were a person of faith. And then by the third date, they were like, you're not having sex with me? What? Okay, you're obviously trying to hide something. We're done. Because they just bought into the sex is the most important thing, right? And it's the biggest deal and it's no big deal. And so what I say to people then is, you know what? I'd like to give you a thank you note. Okay? So if somebody says that to you, I'm breaking up with you if you're not having sex with me, send them a thank you note. Say, thank you for breaking up with me. You just showed me that your perspective of sex is so low that I can't really trust it, right? I know I have a billion slides, don't I? It's so awful. You're so great. Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry. I know. And you don't have to find it. It's okay, really. No, truly. So if I did, I would hand out a whole bunch of thank you notes. And you could say, thank you, because now you've shown me that you would not respect my boundaries right now. Why would you respect me if you don't respect me now? Why would you respect me in the future? Oh yeah, that's a really good video. And we don't have time for that. Oh my goodness, it's such a good video. Okay, so let's see. My encouragement for you, again, is to think about what you really want. Create a wish list. And sometimes people joke about this. They're like, oh, there's the thank you note that I'm giving you. The wish list. The wish list is write down what you want in a life partner. Okay? And then you can put anything. Like, yeah, plays Minecraft really well. I don't care. Like, redhead with freckles, great, whatever. But I would suggest you look at characteristics and then actually circle the non-negotiables. Because this is the one thing I know that's helped people when they're infatuated. Because if you're going to hope for other people to be able to call you on it and go, hey, whoa, they might not be able to do it. Or they might be too afraid to, because they could lose their friendship. So create your own list, circle your most important, right? And tell yourself, this is a contract I'm making with myself. And if I start dating somebody, I'm going to pull that out and go, okay, how am I going to discover who this person really is? And if you are, I have upper right hand shared faith. If you are a follower of Jesus, because I'm not assuming you all are, but if you are a follower of Jesus, whatever you do not marry a Christian, right? Because anyone can call themselves a Christian, right? Just because they go to church. Somebody who's actually following Jesus. And then pray for them. Because I've heard too many stories over the years of people saying, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I made this list, because some people will be like, it just helps me, it centers, it grounds me, because some of my friends are getting married, and I'm like, well, I got to keep moving. I mean, this is ridiculous. Whatever you do, don't settle for the really essential ones. And then pray for them, because you don't know where they are. I've had some people use this as their proposal. Here, this is you. I've waited for you for 10 years. And one guy said he handed it to her and she went, oh, he goes, what? That date? Yeah, that's the date I made the list and started praying for you. Yeah, that's the date I decided to follow Jesus. You don't know where they are. You don't know the different voices they're getting thrown at them. And then become the kind of person you're looking for is looking for. I love that quote by Andy Stanley. So if you're saying, I want somebody trustworthy, how are you practicing that right now? I want somebody really forgiving. I need somebody very forgiving. How are you practicing that right now? Dependable, hardworking. And understand it's an incredibly amazing thing, attractive thing to use confidence. And the confidence is not just like, I'm the best. It's like, no, I'm going to be okay because I know who I am. That was the best song to sing ever, right? I am who he says I am. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that. So essentially, I just have 3 things I want you to walk away with, essentially. I want you to believe you're worth waiting for. You have what it takes to wait, and it's never too late to wait. There's so many fantastic stories of people who said, I didn't know. I didn't know I could wait for what I wanted. And I didn't know how important it was. And I'm so grateful for it. One woman actually started writing letters to her husband. Every time she said no to a sexual encounter or a party where she knew she would probably, drink and then end up sleeping with people, because that had been her history. And for years, she wrote letters. Hey, husband, hope you're worth it. This was a really hard date, or whatever. And then on their honeymoon, she gave him a whole stack. And they ran them together. It was really cool. I love that story. But I don't want you to just wait. Don't just sit around waiting. My encouragement to you is live. Plan great things. Enjoy these friendships. Enjoy creating amazing friendships. Enjoy discovering agape with people. You are worth it. And if anyone tells you otherwise, have them talk to James or me. Because you are irreplaceable. God made you as a gift to himself first, and then a gift for the rest of the world, including us. So do you mind standing with me to pray, and then I'll give you some questions that you can chat around about? Is that okay? Is that the last two slides? Thank you, Jesus, for my brothers and sisters. Thank you for how amazing they are. You know how amazing they are. You know how amazing you made them. And you know the longings of all our hearts. We want to be loved. We want to know and be known. We want to belong. We want to connect and stay connected. We want to have amazing, amazing opportunities. We don't want to miss out, and you're not going to let us miss out. I want to thank you for that. And for those of us that are married or going to be married at some point, we just pray for the spouses wherever they are. Prepare them. Thank you for them. Give them courage. Give them great friendships. And Father, if there's stuff that we need to unload right now to give to you, thank you for the cross, because we know we live in a broken world. And our eyes have ingested things, our bodies have done things that have actually hurt us. And we just cut off all the ungodly relationships. We want to thank you for that cleansing, that beautiful, powerful blood of Jesus. We want to thank you for the freedom. Who the Son sets free, we're free indeed. And no one can point a finger of condemnation at us. Give us courage, Jesus, to speak the truth in love to others, to give them hope, and to love each other the way you dreamt of us doing so. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.